And this is Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Slick.
And we're the show that talks about computers,
technology,
and the Internet. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Hope everybody is well. Backlash from Halloween. Did you get any candy, Slick? Did you give out any candy?
Didn't necessarily on purpose give out candy, but at the shop that I've been working at on the secret military installation.
Yeah.
We did have some spies come in, little short, small spies came in, all dressed out in these trying to pretend to be somebody else, trying not to be noticed. They were sneaking in and out of the building, and just to get them to go away, I just gave them a little piece of candy and sent them on their way, and that seemed to pacify them. So I think we're safe from the infiltration of enemies of the state.
I think you should have given them floppy disks. I think that would have been even better. What's this?
For like little short 5-year-old kids.
Yeah, so, put like a little game on it.
Does this fly? As they throw it across the room.
That would have been kind of cool. Put a little game on it, like a freeware game or something, and then give the two of them on a floppy disk, and then stick it in their bag and see if their parents can figure it out.
Their parents probably could, because there are still computers coming in with floppy diskette drives in them. So.
Yeah, I don't think there's any new computers, when you think about it, that you go into the stores that you find that actually have the floppy drives in them. I mean, at least I have. It seems like they've pulled them all out now.
Yeah, and even remember with a lot of the netbooks anymore, I mean, there are no drives in them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So now what happens? So what happens when you have something on a floppy? You've bought, all new computers, so you don't have a floppy drive in your home, and you've got all new computers. What do you do if you have to access something off a floppy drive? You go to your neighbors?
Well, yeah, either that or, borrow somebody's computer, have somebody copy it for you. There are still places that have, and maybe some people know about this, maybe some people don't, but there's still those USB diskette drives or, floppy drives that you can get. Here locally, we've got a shop, that deals in computer parts where, most people go to, they know they go there. Sometimes you'll find them in Radio Shack, sometimes you'll find them in Best Buy, but they're available.
They're not that expensive, too. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, no, actually. They used to. I remember when they used to be. It's like, I guess the manufacturer's like, oh, so you want to access that floppy, huh? Yeah, cough up some money. And now they're like, oh, here, just take the thing.
I don't understand it too, because I have seen some stores that do actually still sell floppy drives for those, or floppy. Floppy. I guess that's what you call them, floppy drives. So they still sell those.
You mean like the floppy diskette drive internal?
Yeah,
like a tower? You mean?
The internal floppy diskette drive, cheaply. They're cheap. They're pretty cheap. I mean, I think they're like maybe $12, maybe $13. So if somebody is building a system, they want to have that, and they still have actually a slot on their motherboard for it, they can install that. But I think it's kind of funny though that when you look at that and the storage capacity of a diskette, 1.44 megabytes, right? Where you can go in and you can buy a SATA DVD burner for about, maybe at the low end $25, and on the high end even an IDE burner for say $32, just in a round ballpark. Where your storage capacity is, if it's capable of doing, double layer DL, you're getting 8 something gigabytes versus or 4.5 gigabytes on the low end. So, I mean, you look at those comparisons for the value, it's certainly a much better deal.
Yeah. And I'll tell everybody, just at least from my perspective, if you're putting together your dream desktop, your dream tower, why not put a diskette drive in it? Why not? If you got a slot, why not put it in there?
Well, if it's running off the board and you have that, I say pull all of that stuff off the board, so you don't even have to access it, disable it in the BIOS. At least that's the way I look at it. Because we do have a couple of systems here, and usually what I'll do is, if we've been able to eliminate any IDE devices or the ISA devices, I just eliminate, disable them in the BIOS and take them off of there. But I mean, you're right. For some people who want to have it all, sometimes having a secondary system, maybe even a system running, if you want to have it, XP, depending on your workflow. That's also a nice idea for somebody to have. Always cool to have one in the house that if you have to have it, you have that capability.
Yeah. And remember, everyone, XP, support for XP going away in April. Going away.
Completely.
Bye-bye.
This is like completely nothing. As it is, if you try to go get, Windows Messenger, or you try to get certain updates, and you've installed with Service Pack 1, good luck.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, I haven't really focused on it, spent the time I needed to try to download and save Service Pack 1. But I have had at least one incident where I had to do a fresh installation, a new installation of Windows to a computer. And I needed to install Service Pack 1 to get to whatever it was. I need probably Service Pack 2 or whatever it was.
Right.
But the only way to do it was to be online with this particular computer. The problem was there was no where I was working. Everything, all the internet access really is done by Wi-Fi. And this computer was so old there was no Wi-Fi. I couldn't get the external Wi-Fi USB adapter to work. I needed, in order to get Service Pack 1 there, I had to physically connect with a network cable from the computer to a network connection. And it was not going to happen that day.
Yeah. It's just a slip install, probably for those that know how to create one. It's pretty easy, actually. Paul Theroux on his website actually will walk you through how to create an SP2 slip install, which is fairly easy. That's probably the best way if you're gonna be reinstalling XP. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's probably time, since that support is going away completely. It's finally time to give it up and start moving ahead. Maybe find another solution for you when it comes to your software. Your operating system.
And you're right about the slip install. I've never had time to really sit down and do it. It's probably not really all that difficult if you're good at following directions. But I just haven't had a chance to sit down and create one. So
I had a situation. Actually with my mom once, who was asking me to basically build her a new system, and she had Windows XP. She had an OEM disk of that. We blew up the other system, so we just went ahead and transferred the license. She's used it on the new one. But it was Service Pack 1, and we were blue screening. Actually, it may not have even been. It might have just been original release. And it was blue screening quite a bit and made it difficult. So I don't think we could even finish installing it. And after about 3 attempts, and then thinking it was hardware related, I went ahead and created a slip disk, and it ended up installing fine after that, and it's been fine ever since. So sometimes that can even impede your installation depending on the hardware. If the hardware wasn't certified, when the first install came out, you may run into some issues like that, and you're going to think, oh, well, it's a hardware issue. Well, in a way it might be, but it may not be something that can't be fixed with doing it as a slip install. But as you said, Windows 7 can run on most systems, and maybe in some cases even run better than XP did under the same memory conditions, depending on what your memory is. So that can be a way to go. I don't know. Are you seeing at your shop? Are you seeing a lot of Vista systems and Windows 7 systems come in?
Not a lot. It's pretty equal. I mean, if I ran a report out of the system to see how things are, how the numbers really flow, it's probably not the same as in my mind. But in my mind, it seems pretty even to me, because here recently it's kind of really strange. It's some people who bring in like Windows XP systems, and they will leave with a brand new computer out of the store, which I've transferred the data to from the Windows XP system.
Yeah.
Oh, did I tell you this story about the tower with the netbook motherboard?
No, but I want to get back to that for a second. I want to hear that. I think that's hilarious, because isn't that like a car dealer? Somebody driving on a lot with a banged up car who just wants an oil change, and they drive off with a new car.
That's exactly what it is. But it's been happening. It's been happening pretty often recently, and I'm thinking, well, and one of the excuses kind of made sense. It really made sense to the time of the year and the season, because they said, well, it's coming close to Christmas anyway, and so I'm getting my present now, and then they'll get their present there. So they were kind of like, well, we'll just move Christmas up a little early.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Okay, I get it. So.
Well, think about it for the value of, if you pull up a computer shopper magazine which is a magazine at one point that it was nothing but computers. They'd go around the country. They would talk to, manufacturers, vendors, small computer shops, medium, big computer shops, and they would just say, what are your specials? And they would run this ad. You could run an ad. I remember this book being so thick. It was like a phone book, and it would come out every month, and it was just all kinds of great deals. Now, if you compare, say, the prices even like 15 years ago to what you could get today, I mean, it's mind-boggling how the value of the PC in performance went way up, but the cost of the PC went way down. All the components, the memory, the hard drive. I remember, you wanted to buy a 256 megabyte stick of memory. Oh, I take it back. You wanted to buy a 2 megabyte or a 1 megabyte stick of memory. You were spending, through the roof for what you could buy almost a new computer for today. Same goes for, storage. You could usually, right now I think the average, and I may be wrong here, I think it's about 500 gigabytes for an average base system of storage, where back then it was 540 megabytes might have been a good sweet spot, but 120 megabytes is what you saw quite a bit. So and it's just amazing. Our need. People said, "Oh, I'll never use that much."
Speaking of hardware, just a reminder to our audience members, hello audience members, that there was it a flood in Thailand about a week or two ago?
Yeah, big flood.
Yeah. And as it turns out, everybody, much to my surprise, I expected things to be made all over the world. Well, apparently, a lot of, let's say, major components in computing are made in Thailand. I was not aware of this because got a call from a hard drive supplier, and he said, "Listen, you want to order some hard drives? Because next time I call you, I'm going to rake you over the coals."
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And he wasn't kidding, because I heard the prices have shot up for hard drives and other. He was warning us about the hard drives, but then after the news reports are coming in, I was learning about other components that were made in Thailand that I wasn't aware of.
Well, like it's scanners is another one. The scanners themselves, and there's some other devices.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you need to do some serious shopping around now if you need storage, whether it be internal hard drives or even external storage devices. Either get what you can now at a great deal, or plan to wait for a while.
All right, I haven't looked.
Upgrade your hard drives or whatever.
I haven't looked. I've got a Seagate here. Let's see. This is a Seagate. It's an older one though. It's a 320. Came out of an HP. Let me see if it says product of Thailand. So I guess that kind of tells you, what we're going to expect. But it's right there on the hard drive itself. There's another one over here. This is a Western Digital. Let me see. Where is this one made? This came out of actually a product of Thailand. So I think that's good. People are going to be running out right now. Drives.
Yeah. Well, remember what you were telling me, asking me, I guess, last show or show before last about, what Black Friday coming up and what did I think was going to be? Well, now I'm starting to wonder if, those deals that we usually expect in regards to computers and notebooks and stuff like that, because of this hard drive and other component problem, is that going to cause a problem for Black Friday?
I don't think the general public is probably aware of what happened and how that's going to affect the price of systems. Now, luckily, HP and Dell and Acer, they probably all have their systems, and they have, these all lined up. Kind of like the same thing we saw when the earthquake happened, the devastating earthquake happened and the flood, tsunami in Japan, where Apple was affected by that. But luckily, Apple had enough on hand that they were able to take care of orders until they were able to rebuild and get kind of back up to speed in Japan. So I have a feeling that possibly there's enough on hand, but for those that are buying externals or whatnot. Now, I did see, I think CompUSA, which is, to many people's surprise, still around and selling stuff online. They had notices you could only buy so many hard drives. So if you were putting in an order, I received something from them that said, "Hey, there's a limit on hard drives right now." because of the pricing that they had on them. So they hadn't raised the prices, but they were putting a limit.
About that.
Yeah,
maybe I did hear about that. I just don't remember it being Best Buy, but
no, CompUSA. So
CompUSA.
Yeah. So, which is basically an online an online retail kind of shop. Although they do, I think they still do have some storefront locations in various parts of the country. So I don't know.
We are talking about real estate space storage kind of
different kind of storage.
I'm trying to help you out here.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to put a question to you for those that travel. So if you like to go around the nation, you go around the world, maybe even, and you want to access your email, what do you do at that point? Are you certain you're going to be able to access your email? When we come back, we'll actually answer that question, and hopefully, Slick, maybe you could provide some insight to that coming up next on Tech Talk Radio. And we're back with Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Slick.
And thank you for tuning in. All right, so just before the break, we were talking about maybe solutions for people that want to travel. And this happens quite a bit. Somebody is forced on their job to have to leave the office. Now, we think of how easy it is. We want to get stuff on our smartphones. We want to access our email. And we think of, the Crackberry and how that has changed people's lives. But there are some people that maybe go to a foreign country and they want to access their email and be able to delete, add, send email, the whole bit, and make that an easy process. Now, if you have a laptop, that's cool. I've always in the past recommended Outlook as a solution. Not Outlook Express, but the full Outlook that comes with, say Office 2007 or Office 2010. And it always makes me, confident to say that's really a good solution. Now, the problem is it's not tied with maybe your computer at home. So if you send email to it, you always want to carbon copy yourself, so that way you get it at the computer at home. You're not deleting it from the server. But the problem is, if you're gone for an extended period of time, what happens? Your email starts building up and building up. And if you get a lot of email, a lot of attachments, it can actually clog your server depending on the type of plan you have, and thus you're not in a good situation. So the question has been asked to me by one of my clients: what is a good solution for the email, especially when this client travels to Asia quite a bit and wants to be able to access email? And said even changing his mail client, like should he go from, which he uses Outlook, should he go and look at maybe Thunderbird or some of the other options that are available? Do you have any thoughts on this, Slick?
I used to be a big fan, in serious love with Outlook. Back in the 2003 days. It's not so much, and under the hood it's probably better and just the same or whatever. Here's my problem, and it's an aesthetic thing. It's an artistic thing. Ever since Outlook 2007, I've never liked this opaque, interface that they have. I just don't like it. I like the hard lines that it used to have. So I don't know why, but that's affected me. It's affected me when I tried to use Outlook. Now, in general, in regards to an email client, I still believe, even though I could be proven wrong, I still believe that Outlook is an outstanding piece of software for email and other things as well. I just haven't used it because the price, and two, the opaqueness, and then support, and they keep changing. But yeah, like you said, Outlook and/or Thunderbird. Thunderbird? Yeah, it is Thunderbird, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Thunderbird from Mozilla. Thunderbird is the best, at this date and time, Thunderbird is the best free option. Now, I still have a lot of love for something that maybe one day will come back. You remember Eudora?
Yeah.
I used to love that email client, and I thought it had gone away so it could regroup and come back. And that still may be the case, but it's taking a long time to come back. So right now, in my view, in my world, for various reasons, Thunderbird is the software I would always recommend initially for email as an email client. And for one other reason that other people don't really think of, but I do, because I'm me, and as I've said before, I'm in love with this type of technology. There's a portable version of Thunderbird available, meaning you can run it off of a thumb drive. I love that.
Very good. Yeah.
Love that.
Now, what about the idea of, and we were talking about this, of forwarding any email that comes in on the server side and having it forward to a Gmail account. And then controlling it via Gmail or Yahoo or some of the other options that are available.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this, and we were talking about forwarding. Well, you've got tools within most email services where you can. An email comes in, you can have it forwarded, you can have that vacation message thing, whatever. And you and I were talking about POP3 and IMAP, POP3 Post Office Protocol 3, and an IMAP. I'm going to get this wrong, but here we go. Internet Messaging Application Protocol.
Could be.
Access Protocol? Yeah. Okay. Look it up. As they say, Google it, everybody.
There you go.
But yeah,
I know you're a big fan of IMAP. You've talked about IMAP before.
Yeah, because what I can do, and even you can do it yourself if you like. You can, using different computers and even different email software, using the IMAP protocol, the messaging protocol for the service, for the email service, you can log into, using a client, using software, log into your email account, and any changes you make within that software will happen on the server where your email is. And then when you go to a different computer, it's almost, think of it this way, using the web interface without using a web interface. You're actually using a software program to access it, which in my view and in my world, in my experience, is always better than the web-based interface. Okay, there can be some arguments made for the web-based interface, but I'm just saying, for me, by default, using software to access my email services has always been better, at least for me.
So what happens is say the client is in Asia, and they're using an IMAP interface, and they go ahead and they delete something. Say they don't need this email from, we'll just say Kohl's, all right? Because they're not going to buy purses. they hit. Sorry, I get Gloria's email. They hit, the select box and they hit delete. They get home and they log into their computer. That email will not be sitting in their box, but all the other ones that maybe they thought were deemed important or they responded to will be, and especially stuff that they've sent that will synchronize with every computer that's tied to that, right?
Right. Maybe a better way of us explaining the benefits of IMAP would be to explain POP3 and the drawbacks of POP3. And here's the big one.
The biggest one.
Use an email client. Huh?
The biggest one, I'm sure.
Yeah. Use an email client on a computer. And you download your email, and you modify it, you delete it, you send stuff out to whatever, and then you shut it down. And you go to another computer using the POP3 protocol, using email software, you access your email account from a different computer, but you don't have access to the emails you did before because they're sitting on that computer over there, not the computer you're working at over here. And again, they're no longer on that server that they were stored on that you went to get in the first place. Okay. And I was telling Andy a little earlier, I actually have dealt with a guy who, he had to have POP3. And I explained to him, he was using multiple computers. And I explained to him, well, if you use the POP3 protocol, you down your messages to this computer, you won't be able to, you can only get to those messages that are sitting on this computer. And he goes, I don't care. POP3. Okay. Yeah.
Because at some point, probably he was told POP3, and he's done it, and he said no problem. So he doesn't know what really the benefits are. Because that is a big problem. You can select on your Outlook reader or whichever reader, you can tell it, hey, just leave this mail on the server. I mean, you usually have that opportunity, so you don't download it. But the problem is, even if you download junk, or you delete junk off your laptop, per se, you still have to go back there then and delete it off your main workstation. So you're you're working double.
Yeah, as well as the server. Sometimes you'll have to, depending on how you've set your settings on different computers, on different software, on different services, you may have burned yourself and then stuck yourself in the corner because now you really have to log into the server through a web-based interface to delete all that junk that you said keep on the server.
Yeah, that's really a pain in the crawl. Yeah. It is. It really is. Mm-hmm. Also, not to forget, too, now with IMAP and your contact list, does it automatically update your contact list too? Because that's another problem with doing just single POP3 with your contact list that you could run into.
Yeah, which I believe and feel free to look this up on your own, everybody, because I've used it, but I haven't really studied it. There's LDAP, and I forget what that stands for, library something, but that's the contact, what Andy was talking about. That's your contact list where you can access it from different sources, and the actual file of your contacts still sits on the server, but you can get to it from different ways.
Now, more and more people I know are, if they have like an Android smartphone or even an iPhone, they're storing their contacts on their phones themselves. But a lot of them are not, backing up those contacts. A lot of them think, well,
went through that this week.
Did you do that this week?
No, went through that this week with somebody else. I've made enough mistakes in my life in regards to technology that I've always tried to leave myself a way out or safety net and stuff like that. So, because people always tell me, well, it's easier this way. Why don't you do it this way? I know it takes me 3, 4, maybe 10 more steps to do it the other way, but I know that if this goes south, I can go north. I still go north and get the stuff. And came across it this week as discussing, an Android for the Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy S, for all intents and purposes, if you will. You can, tie your phone into your Google services, as well as the phone has its own contact list. Oh. Well, I was aware of this because I poke around on the phone before I try to commit to something. I poke around a lot of things before I try to commit to something. Well, the other person has been so enamored with Google services and Android that he just found out this week that, hey, I put a contact in there, but it's not syncing. I can't get to it on my Google services. Well, as it turns out, and a lot of people don't know this, and I won't go into a long explanation, but I found out by playing with different services and Google services and my phone and stuff like that, some of the contacts in my Google Voice account don't show up on my Gmail account. Some of the contacts in my Gmail account don't show up on my Google Voice account. Some of my contacts in Google Voice and Gmail don't get synced to my Android phone. Right. It depends on where the settings are all over the place, including the phone, because sometimes you'll put a contact in the phone and it'll go to the contact section of the phone.
Right.
But not to the Google services that you think you're syncing to.
Yeah, I'm saving pretty much everything to the phone. I don't save it to the Google. So, yeah, and I found that too. I'll pull up Google. I go, where's that contact list? Or what's worse, I'll pull up Google and I'll find people I don't want on there. Mm-hmm. You go, wait, how'd they end up on my phone?
So you went Android finally?
I've got the Android phone that work provides for me is it's a Verizon service. Which one? It's the Epic? I think it's the Epic. I'm used to it now. Gloria wants a new phone really bad. She keeps looking at Boost because Boost has really a pretty good plan for those who really are looking for a phone and then want to, you pay over time. You can get your phone bill down to about $35. And from what I've heard, the service is really good. The thing is, she wants an Android one, and they're about $172, but she wants to find one that she likes. And I told her, I go, well, the Echo is really, that's the one with the slide out keyboard and the whole bit. Even though, there's new phones it seems like every week. You seen the new ad for the Razr that's coming out? Motorola Razr. It's actually very unique. It looks like a disc flying through the streets, cutting things in half. I keep thinking, I'd like to do a spoof of that one. Somebody getting too close.
The Razr is coming.
Close shave, Bob. Yeah, my face is gone.
Yeah, I just got a new Razr.
You got to be creative, I guess. Verizon has the most bizarre commercials. They're very dramatic. Whenever they introduce a new phone, very, very dramatic. I thought it was funny the other day. I was watching one. I don't know if you've seen the one where they jump out of the plane and they're holding these orbs of light and they throw these down to the ground. And it's talking about 4G LTE and how it's here now. But they jump out of a plane. They're holding these orbs, and as they're flying through the air, like parachuting without the parachutes haven't opened yet. What do you think it says on the screen? It says, "Professionals do not try at home." I just thought that was just a riot.
Oh man. Well, now wait a minute. Let me back because now you got my head spinning with a bunch of questions, a lot of things I've been thinking of this week and stuff like that. So let me backtrack. Okay, right. First of all, let me warn you of this, and depending on how much time we've got to show and all this depends on where we go with this. Tell Gloria not to get an Android phone yet because the big thing is Google Android ice cream sandwich is coming. And that is, let's call it version 4 of Android.
All right.
It's almost like jumping version 3 because most phones, most handheld cell phones have version 2 point whatever.
2.2,
Okay.
I think we're at, right? Or are we higher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Version 3 for the most part, which is whatever the name is. I don't even care. I hate these names that throw me off because I hear people talk about them like, what's the number? What's the number?
Yeah.
The version 3 of Android are really on the tablets, as it turns out. But we're days away from version 4 ice cream sandwich, and that has been tweaked for not only phones but tablets as well. And it's supposed to be better and better performance and all that. So I'm a little concerned about her getting. Here's my biggest concern. I'm concerned about her getting a phone that she cannot for free get upgraded to this ice cream sandwich Android 4.
Right.
You know, she may be stuck because I think I'm going to be stuck. I have the Sprint Epic 4G Galaxy Samsung S, and I think I'm stuck in version 2 land. I don't think I can even get to version 3.
Huh.
Yeah. So seriously think about that before you get one. Plus, I wanted to ask you, since you got your Verizon phone, I'm going to assume, have you experienced 4G yet?
No, I haven't. And even though I'm in it's not a 4G phone. That's why.
Okay.
It's not capable of it. Now, the Zoom tablet that I used to have, we had to send back, supposedly, and I don't know. Honestly, I think there's a chance my boss was just trying to get it back from me because he had given it to me and I held on to it for a few months. But he said he was sending it back to get it upgraded to 4G. So I don't know if that's the case. I haven't seen it yet. So
just to bring everybody up to speed on this, we have 4G here in the Tucson metropolitan area, but it's only through Verizon. So that's why I was asking Andy, because all the other services officially don't have it yet.
And it's funny because Sprint was the first one talking about that. Remember that? And with the WiMAX, and then it kind of melded into something else. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll see that soon. I know they have it in certain areas, but just not here.
And for what it's worth, I just got to say this. I still miss the old BlackBerry, because I went up to the BlackBerry website and looked at the new models and the available models and stuff like that. And I know this is going to sound, but they don't impress me at all. I need more space. I need to be able to use my thumbs on the thing. These are phones and they're too small. Give me the keyboard. Where's my keyboard that I fell in love with?
Well, the BlackBerry, if you think about it, BlackBerry was good for the business traveler because of the integration of messaging, or your mail, all of that stuff was for the business traveler. That was perfect. Then everybody started wanting these little extras. And, it's funny because my daughter, who's 18, we've been talking about phones because she's going to have to get her own phone. And we mentioned this, and she said she does not want a smartphone. And then this is surprising for a kid, an 18-year-old that listens to music and all that. She doesn't want a smartphone because she said it crashes, it's too slow. All she wants to do is text and make phone calls. That's it. Texting and phone calls. As long as she has a keyboard she can text with, she's fine. So she basically wants a regular phone that can get text messages, and she's pretty quick on that thing, and that works. So, we gave her a flip phone to try out, and she was fine with it, and that's all she wants.
And I totally agree, because after spending quite a bit of time with the Samsung Galaxy S, is it a great phone? Yes, it's a great phone. Great service is great service. It's wonderful device. However, I don't think I'm a minority when I say this. A minority, get it? And if you can see the video, then you get the joke there, everybody. But you'd have to watch the video portion of our program to see.
Slick is black.
Well, I'm kind of black.
As glorious as chocolate.
Is she there?
No, she's actually inside.
Okay. Make sure tell her to add a sweet on there.
Sweet chocolate. All right, so back to that. I'm very annoyed. I'm very disappointed. And I don't like using that word, but I really will use that word in regards to these smartphones. I'm very disappointed in how much it freezes, it crashes. I mean, it's, it just does it too often for me. And maybe it doesn't do it as often as I'm trying to compare it to some other things, but I've had more stability out of Windows, okay, folks, and as much as people talk bad about Windows,
it's been much more stable. I mean, Windows on the computer, it's been much more stable than this phone. I just, I'm like you, daughter. I want to go back.
Let's
go
face
back to just a phone.
Sure, but let's face it, Slick. We've been, we're inundated with apps. Everybody's, you go to a dinner now, and people are talking about apps. We went to dinner the other night, and the guy next to us was talking about apps, and guy across, they were sharing apps. And I'd say, "Oh, got to try TuneIn." And he went, "Oh, there it is. I'll get it." Because these apps are free. Do you remember at a time when you could start up somebody's Windows desktop, and it would be full of icons because they downloaded every single program in the world? And what would what would those programs do? They would slow your computer down. Well, the same thing happens with apps. The more apps you load that are running in the background, and that's not necessarily Android's fault. I mean, you could probably say, the portion of it is, but a lot of these apps run in the background because they're telling the app provider where you're at, what you're doing, and aside from the security issues you feel with that, a lot of these have some functionality, whether you're on Movie Phone and you're in Tennessee and you file that up, or you're in Grafton, West Virginia, and you file that up, you pull that up and you say, wait a minute, there I am, I'm near this theater, or wherever you are. There's a benefit to that. But when you've got 40 apps all running in the background, all trying to get that information as you're driving down the road, and then trying to get one simple task done, when it crashes on you, you really can't complain too much. Because, again, and you've been on the app superhighway. And there is no reason for all these apps to be running all the time. No, I totally agree with what you just said. It's very similar to the whole Windows operating system situation. And I consider myself an educated consumer. I really do. Right.
And I just fired up my phone, look at the apps. I tried not to put anything on there that was unreasonable or no games.
Yeah.
No games.
No games, not even Angry Birds?
See, I knew you were going to go there. I knew because I've been having this conversation with people all week. I'm not an Angry Birds person. I'm not. You are not dragging me. You got me on Facebook. You got lucky. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but you do like Facebook now. We went in the right direction on that.
I admit that Facebook can be productive, and again, I don't do games on Facebook.
Right.
I don't do any of those stupid Farmville. None of it. I don't do any of that stuff. I network and I communicate with people. And I share stuff.
All right.
But I've got Evernote. I got Audio Boo because I'm doing that 30-day podcast experiment.
Yeah.
I've got I got Google Goggles. I got Quick Video, Uvu, Tout. I'm looking for stuff that other people don't have. Pogo Plug, SpringPad, Dropbox.
I didn't know Dropbox had a mobile app. Oh, that's kind of neat.
Dropbox for local, to try to stay in the loop because I don't get a chance to watch television news or read a newspaper. I've got three apps for my local television stations: Channel 9 KGUN, Channel 4 KVOA, and Channel 13 KOLD. Right. So I can try to see what's going on. I got the All Access because radio people.
Right.
Which we are. What else would everybody be? I got Twitter, Facebook. Okay. Yeah. I got Blogger. I got LinkedIn. I got a Yahoo, so I can just remember to check. And these are for now. Those are my time wasters. Those aren't games. Those when I'm hit a lull, I'll fire up the Yahoo and go, all right, what's in Yahoo News, and check my email, that kind of thing.
Now, do you have Twitter? I'm wondering, do you have Twitter or TweetDeck?
I have Twitter and I have TweetDeck.
Okay. TweetDeck for me was I like it, but it was a bit of a hog.
Yeah, and then Pandora, and the guilty pleasure I guess is the app for 77 WABC out of New York because I like iMiss in the morning. So,
right.
Yeah. But nothing else, and if I had an option at install, would you like this to run in the background all the time? No, but pardon me, put your fingers in the kids' ears, everybody. Hell no.
Well, you think about it. When we start up, when I do a Windows install, after I've got all the applications installed that the client wants, and I'm sure you do the same thing, or programs, or even, just the family wants, I will go through and I will streamline that so that I make sure, number one, any bloatware, stuff that doesn't need to start, like why do I need to start? I have iTunes on here, but why do I need to have it running at the startup? I don't.
Wait, you have iTunes on Android?
No, I'm talking about on a PC, and I'm saying that
Okay.
we go through and we streamline that startup to only have certain things run, and then we get a better performing computer. Having that with your Android device too is also pretty beneficial. Now, I haven't heard of the same issues though when it comes to Apple, when it comes to the the iOS. I haven't heard of any issues with that, so I don't know. Gloria would like to try that, and it's funny because a good friend of ours who is now, how old did he say he was? Did he say 82 or 72? We had dinner with.
I think he said he was 80.
That's what I thought. 82. Just bought himself an iPhone, and he didn't get the
and
4S.
A very active 82. We have to say a very active 82.
Yeah,
everybody.
Extremely,
very active.
extremely. I think.
Wow.
Maybe a little out of the norm, but he just got himself an iPhone. It didn't get the 4S, but he did get. I guess he get the. I'm not sure which model he probably ended up getting. We didn't even ask, but he was just commenting.
I think it was a 4 when I looked at it.
Was it the 4? Yeah, he just commented. What did he comment on the fact that he has fat fingers, so dialing has been the biggest challenge for him. And he's already called 3 people, and he usually the conversation is always something like, "Who's this? What do you want?"
Oh, you got the wrong number again. Yeah, I got my hands on an iPhone 4S at the Sprint store. I did, just to look at it and stuff like that. And as nice as the technology is, I'm not going to take away anything from iPhone and Apple on it. They make great products. They really do. But the iPhone's too small for me. It really is. It's just too small.
Yeah. It's funny because I'll use my Droid and then I have my iPod, which is an iPod Touch, and it feels tiny in my hands. It's kind of like when you go to Vegas and you play a lot with the dollar slots, and you've got those dollars, and then you touch a quarter, and it feels like it's extremely small, like a button on your shirt, because you've just been so used to that. And that's kind of what I feel with the Touch, which I think is a phenomenal device. I love the iPod Touch, but that's one area that you'll see a difference in.
Now, right now, I have a lot to say on this subject, so you're going to have to watch the time for me, Andy. Tell me when.
We do. I tell you what, we do have to take a break. So let's take a break. We'll come back with that. Also, I want to talk about an interesting case with LinkedIn. And I don't know if you heard about this. LinkedIn is really a professional. I want to say a professional website. It's social networking, but it's not like Facebook. It's really done for professionals, and you could make some great connections and a great way to network. But an interesting legal case came up this week, one that I think surprises very many people about the outcome of this case, and we'll talk about that. Plus, Slick wants to add more on the phone stuff. We'll do that coming up next at Tech Talk Radio. And we're back with Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Slick.
And we've been talking about mobile phone devices. But first, I wanted to touch on this LinkedIn story that I thought was really interesting this week. LinkedIn is an area where you can get on there, you can make contacts, make connections, network per se. It's like going to a cocktail mixer, but you're doing it online without the drinks, or maybe you are. I don't know.
My card, or better yet, my link. Yeah, exactly.
And I found LinkedIn to be very beneficial. It's a great way to keep in touch with people that you may not normally talk to on a regular basis. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some of the people I have. I have my friends that I've connected with, but I also have some in the professional broadcasting industry. I have one that's a producer, program coordinator for one of the big cable channels out there, which is could come in handy because we're looking for information on shopping the television show that I've been involved in. So there's all kinds of connections you can make on it. Well, recently a company had sued a former employee that had LinkedIn connections and had made these connections while the employee was working for the employer. And the court ruled that those connections belonged to the employer, not the employee that had actually made the connections.
Whoa!
Yeah, yeah. And you think about the ramifications of that. So here you are at work. Maybe your job is a sales manager, and you make all these connections with a LinkedIn account, and because you're the sales manager of ABC company, and you go over to DEF company, right? And you go to access your clients, and you can't anymore because you made those while you're a connection of ABC, and now you're trying to sell them DEF. There's where the problem arises. So the question now is, who owns your LinkedIn contacts when you're working for a company? Is it you, or is it the company? And it's a pretty interesting case.
Whoa.
Slick, you look. Slick is like, huh?
Yeah. I'm looking for this court case now because I not only did I not know about it, but I know a bunch, a lot of people around the world have no clue that they could be ruled against in this way. I mean, how are you supposed to manage?
Yeah, how do you manage it?
It brings up a bunch of questions. I mean, if I use my personal email address on my LinkedIn account, and then the court tells me I can't talk to those people anymore.
Well, now, there's a point. Now, here's where the difference is. You're saying using your personal email address, but that's going to be different. But if you use a corporate email address, even tied, because you can have more than one email address tied to your LinkedIn account. Like I have my Andy Taylor Media one, and then I have my Tech Talk Radio one. But because I have that business, say I was working for, say, Andy Taylor Media and was let go, then yes, they have rights. According to what this legal case is saying, is they have rights then to utilize that information and have access to that, or have full rights to it. We've had that situation happen with Tech Talk Radio where people have left, and there's an email address tied to stuff, and we continue to get email in. As a company, do we have the right to manage that connection? Maybe it's a press connection we didn't have, or a contact connection we didn't have. Yeah, we do as a company. So that's the big issue then, is what happens with that data.
Yeah. And if we're talking about the same story, I pulled up only one, so it's got to be the same story. This was a court in England, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was an English court.
Okay.
Yeah. Which doesn't mean that...
I mean, it's...
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it necessarily could not happen here, but yeah, that is a case in English law.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say just before you said it. So, yeah. Just because it happened over there,
it doesn't mean it can't happen here.
Yeah, because there have been a lot of rulings in Europe and overseas and other countries that people have looked at and go, well, hey, it did happen, So, and this is now world economy.
Here's very interesting though. I guess my computer must be real special because I just did a Google search, and I typed in LinkedIn legal issues, right, just to see if we could pull down a link for you. And I scrolled down, and there is an area there. It says popular legal issue events from LinkedIn events, and it says January 22nd, 2020. Well, that's an event they're going to be having, but it made it look like that was the headline. I thought, my computer just jumped ahead 9 years, so you can tell me what the news is going to be.
Maybe it's a virus.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe you hit one of those web pages. You've been as a drive-by, or was it? It's a surf-by attack.
Yeah. No, it's
we need to have a new term because we've been using drive-by for browsing, and people using browsers. It needs to be I think it needs to be something like surf-by.
Yeah, I even wonder how much of that is a real issue now. But there are still people out there that purchase their wireless devices and they don't get them secured. They get a wireless router in their home, they don't secure it. They think, who cares? Who's going to steal my net? But there's so many other issues that come up with that, and we'll cover that in another show, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So now you wanted to talk a little more before we wrap here about the phone situation.
Yeah, and I've got
we got about 5 minutes before we wrap the show.
That's what I figured. So let me hit the highlights here, and maybe we can talk about it more in depth at a later time. Okay. So I learned about, which I wasn't aware of, Samsung's putting out a lot of good products lately. That a lot of people are not aware of. They don't really get a lot of advertising and stuff like that. For example, I'm looking forward to a product coming called the Samsung Note, I believe is the correct name for it. It's a little larger phone. It's got a large screen. It's a phone / tablet. Won't jump into it now, but big PDA fan. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. So somehow I came across something called a Samsung Galaxy Player. You ever heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Think iPod Touch.
Okay.
Now let me hit the highlights for this. Now there's the Samsung Galaxy Player 5 and the Samsung Galaxy Player 4. The big difference in the name: 5-inch screen, 4-inch screen. Okay. So let me just highlight the Samsung Galaxy 5, which a lot of them are into Samsung Galaxy 4. Gingerbread Google Android 2.3.5 platform. 2.3.5 Google Android. All right. Rear-facing 3.2 megapixel camera and a front-facing camera. 8 gigabyte memory capacity and a micro SD slot that can support up to 32 gigabyte cards.
Wow.
It's got an FM radio, microphone speaker, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, USB 2, supports the Windows XP with Service Pack 2 and up. File management application. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Player 5, 5-inch screen, goes for $270, let's say, $270.
All right.
Samsung Galaxy 4 with a 4-inch screen, pretty much same specs, for $230. So we go from $270 for a 5-inch screen, $230 to a 4-inch screen. Now let's compare it with the current iPod Touch. iPod Touch, current one, 3.5-inch screen. It's got Bluetooth, it's got Wi-Fi. Notes, calendar, and contacts for us Windows people. Everything will probably, in regards to an Apple, everything's going to work. Of course it's going to work.
Right.
When it comes to Windows, as I've complained about before, in order to use Notes and probably calendar and contacts as well as iCloud, you're going to need Outlook 2007 or Outlook 2010. You can probably also manage these services through a browser, although until they send us one to review, I can't guarantee it. But in their promotional material, it says you should be able to somehow manipulate email, contacts, calendars, and stuff in Notes, probably through a browser. But we'll see. We'll have to do the review. 3 different models of an iPod Touch. Again, 3.5-inch screen, but 3 different models of the iPod Touch. For 8 gigabytes storage, and as far as I know, no external memory slots, no available memory slots, $200. 32 gigabyte model, $300. I'm rounding up.
Right.
One more model, 64 gigabyte model, $400.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. So I just want to, some people are, I don't care. I love Apple's products. That's fine. I'm just letting you know, 3.5, from my view, 3.5-inch screen on iPod Touch, and then 4 and 5-inch screens on the Samsung Galaxy players.
Wow.
And the price.
How much?
So I'm just putting it there.
Yeah, much better. I don't know. I like I still am a fan of Arcos, although I haven't seen a product from them in a while. And I think I liked them because I could just record TV and take it on the go. You show somebody, hey, watch TV, and it was impressive. And I do like that feature. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I actually would like to take a look at the Arcos tablet.
I might need to give them a.
Yeah, I may like to check that out too. I think Samsung's on a winning streak with that. Although I know there's been some legal issues, definitely.
Oh yeah.
With them, but anyway. Well, I'll tell you what, this will wrap up of Tech Talk Radio. I want to thank you all for tuning in, checking it out. We broadcast live each week on Saturday mornings, and we do that from, let's see, we're changing the time, too. So it's...
we are?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we decided to change...
I'm getting my Palm TX so I can put it in my calendar.
We decided to change the time because one of our guys who wasn't here today, Justin, is on the Pacific Coast, and because of that, it may be a little more difficult to get him to wake his butt up at 7 a.m. So we said, okay, well, let's move it to 8 a.m., 9 a.m. our time, so it'll be 8 a.m. Pacific, 10, 11, that'll be 11 o'clock Eastern to tune in for the live Tech Talk Radio, which you can do so at TechtalkRadio.com. Again, that's TechtalkRadio.com/live for the live show. You can also check out the archive shows right there up on our website to see them, whether it's this week, last week. And we have them going back a couple of years, but we're going to be cleaning those out very soon. And if there's a show of some subject that you want to check out, just feel free to drop us an email. You can reach me, Andy, at TechtalkRadio.com, or
Slick at TechtalkRadio.com.
All right, have yourselves a great week. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Slick.
In his best radio voice.
That's right. Good morning.
We'll be back next week. Thanks again.